Thank you for joining us. Today, we will walk you through the process of entering your PPP forgiveness application. Before you proceed, please make sure you are certain which application you need to utilize. Depending on your business structure, here is a list of the documentation you will need. To be eligible for the EASY application, you must be able to certify at least one of the following conditions. If you do not qualify for the EASY application, please make sure you select the standard application. Thank you for joining us. Today, we have Erin DeMarco with Pinnacle Financial Partners, and she is going to walk us through the EASY and standard applications. Erin, thank you so much for helping with this.
Well, thank you, Sandy. So today I'm going to walk you through two calculator tools that we've created, the EASY calculator for the 3508 EASY form, and then the more full calculator for the 3508 standard form. Starting with the EASY form, we've got a workbook that starts with instructions. So on the first page, you'll see that we've laid out some general information for you to use. This tool is meant to accompany your forgiveness for application, and the main purpose behind this tool is to help get your calculations correct before they're entered into the application online. So to follow this workbook, you'll review and affirm one of the three boxes listed on the checklist for using the EASY form, which is on the second tab of this workbook. Okay, so here we have three questions three certifications that can be made. And if any of these boxes can be checked by you as a borrower, you're eligible to use the EASY version of this form. So the first being that if you're a self-employed individual, an independent contractor, or a sole proprietor who has had no employees, you're automatically eligible to use this EASY form. Secondly, if you did not reduce annual salaries or hourly wages of any of your employees by more than 25% during the covered period, or the alternative covered period, compared to January 1st through March 31st of this year, then you are also eligible to use this form. Note that if you have made reductions and offered to restore those employees their jobs that they have refused, you are still eligible to use this form as you would disregard those lost employees. Thirdly, if the borrower did not reduce annual salaries or hourly wages by more than 25%, and your business was impacted by COVID-19, you are eligible to use this form. We believe most borrowers will be eligible to use this form. I think that was the intent of creating this form with these questions, understanding that the impacts of COVID-19 are far-reaching and that many people found themselves in instances where they could not rehire employees who left because of the pandemic. Moving on to tab number 1, PPP Forgiveness App EASY. This is a mock-up of the actual application, what it looks like, the paper form that was created. For the most part, the numbers in this form will pre-fill from the other tabs that you will complete. Areas that are gray, you will fill in manually. So your business name, DBA and trade name, tax ID, etc. If the box is grayed out, you will fill it in. As I said, this calculator was mainly made to aid in aggregating your payroll costs and non-payroll costs to be put into the application. The whole idea behind this is that it is an easier application and that you are not required to calculate FTEs, you are not required to calculate reductions in wages because you are certifying that you did not have those instances during your covered period. On tab 2, Payroll Cost Aggregator, here you will enter all of your owner employees in the top table, and you'll enter your employees in the second table. At the top of this screen, if we scroll up, you'll enter your loan disbursement date, and then if you so choose, an alternative payroll covered period start date. This would be the first day of the following pay period after your loan was dispersed. And then from those two dates, you will select the date to start your covered period. So that it's a drop down where you will select between one of those two dates. Once you've done that, you'll enter the most recent full quarter on line 14, and then you will select the drop down on line 15 of 8 or 24 weeks for your covered period. Your dates will pre-fill to let you know your covered period start and end date. You will then proceed to enter any owner compensation that you want to include in your application for forgiveness. You will note in column D, the max forgiveness available will pre-populate. If you select an 8-week covered period, the maximum eligible forgiveness for any owner is $15,385 based upon a $100,000 annualized salary. If you select the 24-week period, owners are defaulted to the 2.5 times their average monthly 2019 self-employment income, which is $20,833. In no case can an owner be forgiven for more than that amount. That limit was put in place by Congress to prevent unintended windfalls to owners of businesses. In the employee compensation table, you'll enter each of your employees with their compensation received over the covered period. Again, their wages are limited to an annualized $100,000 limit. The difference here being that employees are eligible to receive the full 24 weeks of a $100,000 annualized salary. They're not limited by the $20,833. Once you've entered this information, it will all total out in the payroll cost column J and will pre-fill back into your mocked up application on tab 1. Again, this is just a way to aggregate and total up your payroll. It will enter into line 1, payroll cost pre-filled from cost aggregator. In the event that you have non-payroll costs that you'd like to include in your application, you'll move to tab 3, which is the non-payroll cost aggregator. Here, your dates again pre-fill from the information you've entered on the payroll cost aggregator. In the event you had selected 8 weeks, then it will mark out your weeks 9 through 24, and you would just enter in those costs that you were incurred over your covered period. So you've got your business mortgage interest, your business rent or lease payments, and then all of your business utility payments. All of this information will aggregate and total back to your tab 1 PPP Forgiveness App EZ. And you'll see here, you'll have your business mortgage will be totaled, your business rent will be totaled, and your business utility payments will be totaled. Once that is done, you'll enter in on the PPP Forgiveness App EZ, you'll enter in your loan amount. On line 6, you'll enter in your loan amount, and everything else will be automatically calculated. So based upon your loan amount, what you've entered as payroll costs, and the calculations required by the application, you will be given your forgiveness amount on line 8. If that amount is greater than or equal to your PPP loan amount entered on line 6, your application will be for full forgiveness. If for some reason you've spent less than 60% of your funds on payroll costs, the amount could be reduced, but all of those calculations will be made automatically on this form. The rest of this workbook is meant to be informational. Tab 4, Lender Requirements, is informational for you as a client to let you know what we as a lender have to do in order to have a good faith review of your application before we submit it to the SBA. This is our responsibility to the SBA. We just want you to know as a borrower what we are looking for. On the Documentation Requirements tab, we are showing you, the borrower, what sort of documentation we will need for each item you are claiming for forgiveness based upon the type of entity that you are. On the Document Retention Requirement tab, the last tab of this workbook, these are the documents that you as a borrower are required to retain but not submit to the bank. These documents will support your assertion that you are eligible to use this form should the SBA request that documentation. That's the basics of this form. This form is meant to be as easy as possible and, again, to aid in calculating your total numbers for entry into the application.
To begin your application, you will click on the link that we will provide you, and it will bring you straight to the authentication page. You will need 3 pieces of information to authenticate your business: your email address, your borrower tax ID, and the amount of your PPP application. Once you enter that information, you will click on Find My PPP Loan. The next screen that pops up, we will ask that you confirm your business information at the top of the screen. You will then go down and decide which application you will be choosing today. It is very important that you have all your documents completed, as well as the calculator that's applicable to the application. Those will be very important to have with you as you complete the information. In this video, we will be demonstrating the EZ application. In order to be eligible for the EZ application, you will have a series of 3 questions that you need to review. These questions would have been completed on the calculator that you filled out, so please read over them carefully. The first question will be whether you are a self-employed individual. The second question will be about whether you reduced annual salary or hourly wages for any of your employees. The last question will be regarding whether your business operations were affected by the COVID pandemic. If you need to know more information about any of these items, over to the right is a Learn More link you can click on. It will pull up more information about that specific question. This Learn More link will be available for all of the fields during the remainder of the application. This is where it will be very important for you to have your completed calculator and your documents handy as you will start filling out the fields for the application. You'll want to fill in your annual sales. Your PPP loan amount will be pre-filled by the bank. The number of employees at the time of your PPP loan application will also be pre-filled by the bank. You will need to fill out the employees at the time of the forgiveness application. For this scenario, I'm just going to assume it's the same number. Very important regarding the EIDL advance amount. I'll click on the Learn More button so we can discuss that. This is specifically looking for the advance amount, not the full loan amount. Any advance that you took will need to be entered in this box. And if you did take an EIDL advance amount, you will need to enter your application number as well. For the payroll schedule, click on the drop-down arrow and choose your payroll frequency. The Flexibility Act allows you to choose whether you used funds over an 8-week or 24-week period. The system will default to 24 weeks, and if you want to change it, click on the down arrow and change it. The system will be pre-filled with the start of covered period, and depending on the number of weeks you chose for the Flexibility Act, your end of covered period will be calculated automatically. If I decided to use the 24-week period, you'll notice that my end of covered period changes. You will have the option to choose an alternate payroll covered period, and you would have decided that when you were completing your calculator before you began your application. If you have questions about what that means, simply click on the Learn More link and it'll go into a definition for what that field is. Continuing on with the application, you will need to answer whether you received PPP loans in excess of $2 million. You can pick yes or no. Continuing on with the application, you will need to enter your total payroll cost. It will be handy to have your documents and your calculator with you for these amounts. For our demonstration today, I'm going to assume that we had $30,000 in payroll cost, that I had $0 in mortgage interest payment. I will assume that my lease payments will be $10,000 and my utility payments were $2,000. As you can see here, the system has calculated my forgiveness amount. And it also shows that I will owe $0 for the remaining loan balance. The system is very intuitive. If I go back up and change to a $2,000 idle advance amount, and I go back down to the calculation, as you can see here, we now have a forgiveness gap based upon the example of the $2,000 that we entered into the idle advance amount. All idle amounts will be deducted from the SBA payoff to the bank and will be your responsibility, along with any other forgiveness gap amount based upon your application. The last portion of the application will ask you to confirm the primary owner information, which will be pre-filled by the bank. You will be required to enter the Social Security number for that primary owner, and the system will validate that information. Once I've entered that, I will be asked to certify two pieces of information. One will be an e-signed consent agreement, and the other will be the PPP loan forgiveness borrower certification. When I click on the box to certify, the agreement will pop up on the screen. At that point, you can read it and close it out, or you can choose for it to be emailed to your email address. You'll be required to check both boxes before you can submit. At this point, you have two options. If you feel the forgiveness amount is not correct and you want to go back and recheck your documents and your calculator, you can simply click on Save and leave the system and come back at another time to complete it. If you're certain the amounts are correct and you want to move on, click on Submit. Once you hit Submit, you will be taken to the screen to upload your supporting documents. Your supporting documents are all the documents you collected prior to filling out your forgiveness application. All documents will need to be uploaded to the system. In order to upload a document, click on the down arrow in the section for the document you are uploading. At that point, you can click on Browse, find the document that you want to upload, and when you double-click on the document, it will show that it's uploaded. You will do that for each section of documents that you need to upload. Once you are done, you will want to make sure that the status reads Uploaded Now. And when I have completed uploading all documents, I will click on Submit for review. At this point, you have completed your application. The system will give you a status message that you have submitted your forgiveness application. There is a 60-day review period. If there are any questions regarding the documents that you uploaded or if more information is needed, you will receive an email with follow-up instructions. If you scroll down the screen, You will have a summary of the documents that you uploaded, and you also get a brief summary of your forgiveness request. At this point, you can exit the system. Simply click on the Exit Securely button, and you have completed your PPP forgiveness request. If you have additional questions or need further information, please reach out to our Small Business Client Center at 1-877-380-0654, or you may also reach out to your financial advisor. Thank you.